Imagine this. You buy a game, you play it, you love it, you paid for it, it's sitting in your digital library, and then one day you go back to revisit and it's just gone. Not just removed from sale, not just delisted, gone, inaccessible, broken, or rendered completely useless because the company that made it decided to shut it down, take it back, or just stop carrying. No refund, no warning, no recourse. And if you complain, you are told to read the terms of service. Now, this isn't just some hypothetical worst-case future scenario. This has already happened over and over again. And in 2023, a group of European citizens finally said what so many of us have thought: stop killing games. This is the story of a grassroots campaign that grew into a continent-wide political initiative. What it's fighting for, the people behind it, the resistance it faced, and what happens now that over 1 million people have signed their name to the cause. Because this isn't just about gaming anymore, it's about digital ownership and who really holds the power when you click buy. The Stop Killing Games campaign is not a meme, not a hashtag, nor a fan petition. It's a real, legally binding European Citizens Initiative, or ECI. The ECI is one of the Europeans' most powerful tools for civic engagement. If an initiative collects at least 1 million verified signatures from citizens in at least 7 EU countries, then the European Commission is legally obligated to consider it. They have to meet with the organizers, they have to hold public hearings, and they must issue a formal response. That response can include drafting new legislation or explaining why they won't. So, what was this campaign actually asking for? Ensure consumer rights and digital preservation. The group behind this initiative was a mix of digital rights advocates, game preservationists, and consumer protection supporters who were all concerned about the rapid erosion of ownership in gaming. Their reasoning was simple. When people buy a game, especially a game with single-player content, they expect to be able to play that game. Not just today, but 5 years from now or 10 years. Maybe even pass it down like older generations did with cartridges, but increasingly that's become impossible. Too many games are built to be temporary, and publishers knowingly treat them that way. They push games that require constant online authentication. They shut down multiplayer servers without offering alternatives. They remove games from sale and sometimes even disable them for people who already purchased them. For example, Ubisoft The Crew, a racing game with a single-player mode, shut down in early 2024 and now it's completely unplayable. And coming from the same company, we have Assassin's Creed Liberation HD, delisted from Steam with a warning that even owners might actually lose access. Marvel Heroes taken offline with just 2 days of notice, Battlefield Bad Company 2, Mirror's Edge, Crysis 3, all pulled down and all shut down. And those are just high-profile cases, because we have many more examples. The camping demands were specific. 1. That games sold with single-player content must remain playable offline, even after servers are shut down. 2. That companies be legally required to disclose if a game will become unplayable. 3. That consumers retain access to games they have purchased. And 4. That preservation, whether by libraries, museums, or private collectors, be legally protected. Essentially, if you sell someone a game, you shouldn't be allowed to delete it later. Now, of course, trying to change the law, especially on a multinational scale, is never simple. The first major challenge was the system itself. It took months just to get approval from the European Commission to begin collecting signatures. Every detail had to be vetted. Every term had to be translated into 24 official languages. And once the initiative launched, signatures had to be verified on a country-by-country basis. That meant volunteers had not only spread the message, but also explained the process in local languages, using official portals with national IDs or authentication tools. Now compare that to a viral Twitter campaign or a change.org petition, and you will understand why most SCIs fail before they hit 100 600,000 signatures. But there were other problems too. Lack of media coverage was a big one. The mainstream gaming press, with a few exceptions, either ignored the initiative or didn't understand it. Some assumed it was about piracy, others thought it was just a boomer take about preserving physical media. In reality, the campaign was never anti-digital. It was pro-access and pro-consumer, and of course, pro-preservation. There was also community confusion. Some people misread the goals of the initiative, thinking it was trying to block online-only games or force developers to keep dead servers alive forever, and that's not what it was asking. The campaign wasn't against shutting down multiplayer features, it was against removing access to offline content that people already paid for. That nuance, however, often got lost and had to be re-explained over and over. Still, the team persisted. They built out websites, translated resources, created infographics, and slowly began to build momentum, one signature at a time. In early 2024, the campaign encountered a new challenge, not from corporations or regulators, but from within the gaming community itself, Piratesofware.
Hi, my name is Jason Thorhall, also known as Piratesofware Online.
A popular indie developer, YouTuber, and streamer publicly criticized the Stop Killing Games initiative during a live stream. His influence is significant, especially among younger developers and people who see him as a voice of reason in an industry filled with corporate nonsense. But this time, his critique missed the mark. He argued that the initiative was too vague, that it didn't provide realistic enforcement mechanisms, and that the EU probably wouldn't take any meaningful action even if the campaign succeeded. In essence, he treated it like a nice idea with no real-world impact, something doomed to become another bureaucratic dead end. That kind of skepticism may sound pragmatic on its surface, but it fundamentally misunderstood how ACIs work, and worse, it risked undermining the entire movement at a critical moment. Because while Piratesofware was debating whether the campaign was perfect, the team behind Stop Killing Games was navigating legal red tape, multilingual signature systems, and institutional indifference. They were fighting for actual change. And yes, the initiative isn't flawless, no petition or grassroots movement ever is, but dismissing it because it doesn't have a fully drafted law built in is like mocking firefighters for not having rebuilt the house yet while it's still burning down. And when someone with Piratesofware reach questions the validity of a campaign that's fighting for consumer protection without offering any real alternative, the risk is clear. He feeds apathy. He may not have meant to, but the effect is the same. Some people who were on the fence saw these comments and decided it wasn't worth the effort to sign. Others used this argument as justification to remain passive. To his credit, Piratesofware didn't attack the goal of preserving games or consumer rights. In fact, he claimed to support those things. But that's the contradiction. Supporting the idea while discrediting the only large-scale effort trying to address it. It's easy to say we need better solutions, but hard to name what they are, and even harder to organize them, legally structure them, and get them here by political body as large and complex as the European Union. Stop Killing Games wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it had momentum, and it needs support, not spectators sitting on the sidelines waiting for a perfect version to show up. In the end, the campaign survived the criticism. It clarified its goals, pushed forward, and kept organizing. But the moment was a wake-up call that even within the gaming community, complacency can be just as damaging as corporate indifference. Despite the confusion, the lack of coverage, and the political red tape, Stop Killing Games kept going. And on July 2nd, 2025, the campaign officially crossed the finish line. Over 1 million validated signatures, including mine, with legal thresholds met in more than 7 EU countries, making it one of the few ACIs in history to reach its goal. Now, this wasn't luck. It was a result of months of grassroots effort, volunteers working across languages and time zones, people spreading the word on Discord, Reddit, on YouTube, and most importantly, a shared frustration across all platforms and fandoms that digital content is being treated like something disposable. Because no matter what kind of games you play, we've all felt that moment, this sinking feeling when something we love just vanishes with no warning and no way back. The campaign turned that frustration into action, and it worked. So what now? By EU law, the European Commission must now take 3 steps. 1. Meet with the initiative's organizers. 2. Hold a public hearing in the European Parliament. And 3. Publish a formal response outlining what, if anything, they plan to do next. The Commission could propose legislation, they could open investigations, or they could issue a vague response and let it fizzle. It's too soon to know, but what we know is this: the conversation can't be ignored anymore. The issue of digital game ownership and the deliberate erasure of games is now on the legislative agenda in one of the most powerful political unions in the world. And even if nothing passes immediately, this moment set a precedent. It tells publishers that consumers are watching. It puts legal pressure on platforms to act transparently, and it gives future campaigns in the EU or elsewhere a foundation to build on. Because this isn't just a European problem. If you're in the US, Canada, Brazil, Australia, or anywhere else, you've likely seen the same thing: games disappearing, servers shutting down, and your digital library getting smaller over time. This initiative is just the beginning, and it's a reminder that if consumers organize and demand accountability, change is possible, even in an industry built on control, licensing, and planned obsolescence. Stop Killing Games isn't about clinging to the past. It's about securing the future. It's about fairness, honesty, and basic respect for the people who fund this industry. We are not asking for miracles. We are asking for what should be common sense. If you buy a game, you should be able to play it, not just until the publisher decides it's time to move on, but for as long as you want. That principle isn't radical, it's rational, and now it's one step closer to becoming law. So whatever you are, keep paying attention, because the battle for digital ownership is far from over. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember that you can subscribe, share, give the thumbs up, it's always helpful. Thank you for watching, and see you soon, random internet brother.